Hello, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome to episode 98 of the Jazzie Conversations with Jazz podcast. I am your host, Jazz Bennett, mother, educational leader, and also host of the Jazzie Conversations with Jazz podcast. And I am also an event host. And so I want you to make sure that you guys are tuned in, that you are locked in with me on Facebook and on Instagram, Jazzie Conversations with Jazz. That's Jazzzie, Conversations with Jazz. And I want you to make sure that you are in the building at Boss Fest 2023. Boss Fest 2023 is going to be amazing, and it's going down Sunday, October 8th at the Hilton Garden Inn here in Lakeland, right adjacent to the airport, right? And so this is a networking opportunity. If you are an entrepreneur, you are aspiring to be an entrepreneur, like my special guest and star, Miss Jennifer Palmer, whose beautiful face has appeared on Instagram, and the hearts are growing wild. We are ecstatic. Listen, I'm so excited because Jennifer, listen, did you know about Boss Fest? Did I tell you about Boss Fest?
Yes, actually, I have intentions to attend. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yes. So listen, all of this has gone down. I want to buy you a ticket to Boss Fest at this point. So you may get a complimentary ticket to Boss Fest on your soror because I know that this has, I already know. So if you really want to go, I got you, boo. All right. So I definitely got you. So I am going to be one of the hosts for the event. And so we have a nonprofit panel, right? So we have experts in the nonprofit industry, and they're going to talk to people about the ins and outs of starting a nonprofit, why it would be beneficial, what's the positives, and all of that. We have a social media panel for people who are trying to grow their social media account, and we also have a real estate panel that will give you the ins and outs, the golden nuggets of the real estate industry, and we also have those who are interested in event planning. We have heavy hitters in the building. And so we need for you to be in the building because we have tons of vendors. We have a content creation station. So this is really an opportunity for those who want to build up their social media following and to connect and network. So I need you guys at Boss Fest 2023, but I also need you to make sure you purchase your tickets to my 2-year podcast live show for my anniversary. All right. So without further ado, because I am so excited about tonight's show. Tonight's show, I have a very special guest. You guys know her. I know you guys love her because I see the comments. I see that you are so excited. I see that you guys are ready to hear her voice. You want to hear her engage. I have a very special guest. So my special guest is Jennifer M. Palmer. And Jennifer is we call you guys Chicagoans. Is that what we call you? What do we call you, Jennifer?
Yes, yes.
What part of Chicago are you from?
Well, you mentioned the East Side, and technically I am an East Sider. I said she must know Chicago pretty well because most people figure there's only the West Side and the South Side and the North Side, but there's a little bitty part of the East Side, and we do represent. We do rep.
Okay, listen, when you go to an HBCU, you have to be so well versed on these regions because you got to know the DMV, you got to know the D, you got to know the different parts of the Chi. You just got to be well, you got to know, your New York boroughs, you got to know all of this stuff,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
I was like, yeah, and then on top of that, my roommates, I had 2 roommates that were from Chicago. So yes, I know a little bit about Chicago,
yeah, yeah.
just a little bit.
Yes. I
And
definitely attended a high school, my high school, Whitney Young High School, very well known. A lot of graduates attended FAMU. And I think they even have an alumni group that's in the area.
yeah,
Um, Whenever I'm in the area, I almost always run into someone who either knows someone from Whitney Young or who attended. We just have a really strong presence. Yes,
I
ma'am.
love it. I love it. Listen, people don't play about their regions. Like we will ride or die about where we're from. So I love it.
Well, and there's
So I love
spirit of excellence that goes with Whitney
it.
Young that just, you don't find that everywhere. And so when you have such a reputation. It is something that transcends. I mean, my high school is more famous than the college I attended.
Oh,
I
wow.
in places in Florida where people are. We know people from Chicago, and we know people from Whitney Young from your high school, and so that's something that I run into quite often. But
That is amazing.
kudos to you
That's
and all
amazing.
the accomplishments. Congratulations on your podcast
Thank
coming
you.
anniversary. That is fabulous. I know, you have been working very hard yourself, and I definitely appreciate being here. I see your efforts, and it does not go unnoticed.
Thank
It's
you.
great to be able to have someone that is willing to tell the untold stories, because often
Absolutely.
the people that we hear about are the people that have the influence, or maybe they have the money, but there's so many soldiers that are doing work every
Yeah.
day that deserve to be recognized. And so this is a blessed opportunity. I'm very grateful to be here.
Thank you so much. And I'm so glad that you said that because you yourself are one of those heroes. You are a mover, you are a shaker, you are changing lives. Jennifer, you've been in education for over 20 years. You are an expert in your field. You specialize now in mobile classroom solutions, for students who have different modalities, different learning styles, different learning needs, different exceptionalities, and just reading about what you were able to do. I was telling you, I think I called you one day in Publix, like out of the blue, and I'm like, I would love for you to be on my podcast because I love what you're doing. I had the idea, and I was like, she's actually doing it. Like she has, you know, boots on the ground, and you are taking your passion for education, your love and your passion for kids, and you are yet still serving. And so, we were talking, and I was saying, my whole podcast is about the power of the comeback story, because I believe that with God, with the right resources, knowing how to use those resources, and the willingness to do the work, I believe that that is the formula for a successful comeback. And so let me just give you your flowers, because I know the hard work that you put in every single day. And we all know the hard work that all educators do, but you found a way to make it your own. And so I'm looking forward to getting into your story. I'm looking forward into hearing your journey. So when you hear your introduction, like how do you explain yourself? Like, how would you describe Jennifer? Who's Jennifer?
Well, Jennifer is a person who comes from a family of educators and strong women. Jennifer was born and raised in Chicago, in the city. There was a mix of just being able to be cultured, being able to be versatile, but also education was a really strong component. So I was the student who attended a gifted school. At a very young age, I had to get up early and go to a school away across the city, and it was considered one of the top elementary schools. This was a big feature because in Chicago you have 350 elementary schools, and so to be able to even attend the top five was really a blessed thing. But I was bored in regular school. I was always ahead. They tried to advance me when I was in kindergarten to go down to first grade for learning, and I could read better than all the first graders. So they moved me up to second grade, and I was two
Wow.
grades ahead. I was like 5 years old in a second grade classroom. Um, and I was like, these kids are too big, Mom. I don't want to be in here, but I could read better than half of them. So my mom was on this quest to try to find a school and a place that would feed my intellect
Yeah.
at a young age. I mean, I wasn't a troublemaker, but I was that kid that just sat in class and went through all my workbooks and did everything ahead of time. I worked my own schedule. I just got things done. At a very young age, I was about getting things done. So once we were able to find at the right school, I was able to really foster and challenge that. Fast forward to high school, I had an amazing high school, a diverse experience. Chicago is, people often think of it as a place of violence, but it's a great place of opportunity. There's so many amazing schools, so many amazing cultures that are there. And all of those things help us to be able to be who we are. So a lot of us end up leaving and going other places, and taking those journeys and using those to help us become pillars in other communities. And eventually I was led to doing something like that. I have family members that struggle with mental illness
Mm-hmm.
at an age. I had a heart for it, always a heart for education. But I thought, I don't want to be a teacher because they don't make enough money. And my mom was like, no, don't be a teacher. You know, they don't make enough money.
Right.
But we worked with a woman who owned a preschool. Her name is Mrs. Taylor, and she was really transparent about the ownership and thinking about education from a different perspective. Many people often think about just being a public school teacher, but if you can think of a way outside of the box from what people do, you can find a way to make what you enjoy lucrative. So I went to school, I studied nursing, I studied all these other things, but it seemed that no matter what, I always ended up back in the field of education. It was
Yes.
just drawn to me, but I was just appalled by the money. I was like, no way am I, this, have I attended all these schools and done all of this just to, have a mundane regular job. I knew I wanted more, and sometimes we settle for less, but God will tell us when it is time, and that brick wall is reached. And that for me was COVID, and you've had enough. You decide to try to figure out how to make lemonade out of lemons.
Yes.
And there was an opportunity presented for me. I always worked on the side as a teacher. I worked full time, and it was a desire for me to work in special education. So I've done that for a while. But I've always worked with kids with autism on the side. I started back
Okay.
in 2005. I worked in Peoria, Illinois when I was an undergrad. Then I moved to Carbondale, Illinois. That's where I did my graduate work. I didn't finish my graduate work because I became a mom, but I used everything that I learned. And so I was given an opportunity to come and move to Florida to get a great job. And I was struggling at the time. I was a new
Yes.
mom, and it was hard balancing everything.
Were
Um,
you by yourself as a new mom coming to Florida?
I wasn't.
Okay.
Initially, I was with Jaden's father.
Okay.
That's my son.
Mm-hmm.
But just things happened, and we
Yeah.
grew apart. And I continued to advance in my career, and that was challenging for him. It unfortunately affected us personally,
Yeah.
well as he struggled with some different mental health issues. And so at the point of me trying to preserve myself and my dignity, I had to make the choice to choose not to stay in that
Yeah.
relationship. But I always wish well for Joseph. I always, want the best thing for him. We have a beautiful, amazing son. So he decided to go his way, and I stayed in Florida. And I continued to work as a public school teacher with a lot of success. My classroom just grew and grew and grew and grew. My principal was just like, Palmer, you're doing things. He was always pointing me out, bringing forth data. Your
Yeah.
kids, they're ESC, but 83% of them passed the state test.
Girl, did you
Your
say 83%?
in third grade, yes, which is like the crucial.
Woo!
Um,
Yes.
and then there were other things, but we kept hitting the mark for AR, and
Yes.
we went from kids that didn't even want to touch books to I had to put those books down. It's time for me to teach. Okay, I know y'all want to get AR points, but we have to have a time for that because they were racking it
We
up.
wanted
And for the first time,
to
yeah,
read.
kids were winning. They were feeling that championship, and they were rallying up. They were sharing books. They were using their resources to figure out how to excel. And
How do
it
you
was,
how do you think you did that? Because I know you're going into um your journey, but I chose to put a pin here because the most heartbreaking phone call that I still get to this day, and I've taught all grade levels from pre-K all the way up to high school as a substitute teacher, but then I taught third and fourth grade. Then went on to be a reading coach, assistant principal, testing coordinator, all of that stuff, right? In all of those years of teaching, you know that they always trace that learning back to either second grade or third grade. They don't get the fundamentals in second grade, and then they get to third grade because here in the state of Florida, This is where they're either going to, matriculate to the next grade, or they're going to be held back in third grade. And to this day, the most heartbreaking phone call that I can get is from a parent, a third grade parent, who's exhausted their possibilities, and they didn't even know that they exhausted the possibilities, or they don't even know what the possibilities are in summer. And they tell me, Miss Bennett, my child didn't pass third grade. I wasn't expecting this. What can I do? I have spent countless of hours, even though I'm not even in the classroom anymore, even though I am not even, in the public school sector anymore, but I still guide those parents. But it's literally, it's not too late, but it's pretty much too late. And so what you did, you are in an ESE unit, and you have third graders, and you're talking to me about 83%, an 83% pass rate. You're talking to me about kids who love to read, and I always try to instill in parents that if you get your children to read for at least 20 minutes at night, the data and the research still upholds that they are going to more than likely pass their state exam, because you built in that routine for them, in terms of being a reader. I heard you say that kids didn't want to put down a book in third grade in an ESC unit. What's that special formula? What did you do in order to ignite that love and passion for literacy?
Well, you have to make reading fun. You have to make school fun.
Yeah.
Um, so many times we're geared towards teaching to a test,
Right.
and we just implemented. I used all kind of motivational strategies that were built into the class. Food was a big thing. I spent a lot of money on food.
Yeah.
I didn't mind as long as they were happy and they were working. So they knew test day they were going to get the best donuts. They might get Burger King sandwiches. They knew that they had things to look forward to. And I built that culture up in them very young. If you work hard, there are things. I also didn't sell them a dream. It
Yeah.
wasn't like they were passing with high scores. There were some of them that passed just barely with the two.
Yeah.
And I had one parent who expected her son to fail, and she was teary-eyed because he passed. There was excitement from others who expected them not to pass. But I learned some survival skills that I taught them to help them just to be able to get through a test, just to pass. And that was really the goal. We're not trying to be unrealistic. We
Right.
have to really be realistic, but we're going to focus and we're going to teach this very rigidly. So the thing about that is it's not fun teaching,
Yeah.
but the data is what they want to see. So if that's, what is expected of me as an employee, that's what I'm going to put forth. But was I happy doing it all the time? Not as much. That meant we had to start test practice in January. We had to do test practice questions all the time. And the kids had to learn certain survival techniques because they weren't going to read the whole passages. So I might
Exactly.
read the first paragraph, read the last paragraph, or read the first sentence of each paragraph. Like we all sat and we were very realistic. Like you have to do these things. If you don't do these things, it's not going to work.
Right.
But we were consistent about it. And I think, too, just the food, that was a big thing, a big,
Yeah.
big thing. So if you get the right, the right culture though in the classroom,
Yes.
and
Yes.
really understanding and knowing that you're there, you're going to cheer them on. You're not going to scold them. You're going to encourage them. We kind of instilled in that winning spirit through the AR. So when they had to do those types of questions during the end of the year, I was surprised too. I didn't expect that. Like when they came and brought me down, they called me out of class and was like, "Did you know?" And I'm like, "What?" Like, oh,
That was you.
yeah.
That was you, Miss Palmer. Yeah, because I can imagine, like, that's the best feeling in the world, though. Like when you've given hope to a kid who wasn't expecting that success, and when you've given hope to a family, that does something to them intrinsically that I don't feel ever leaves them. I don't feel that they will ever forget that feeling that they have. So what you're doing is so essential, to their lives, not just as a third grader trying to go on to fourth grade, but just in life. I wish I could I'm gonna come and shadow you, like, to see how your teaching style is. Like, I want to be. I wish we could have done this interview inside of your mobile classroom so we could see, because I just know that there's magic going on. And yeah. And so you were talking about, your journey. You came to Florida because we in Polk County, we always want to know if you came from different places, if you are a transplant. The first question is, how did you end up in Polk County? So you were telling us your journey of how you got the opportunity to come and teach in Florida, how your scores were off the charts in an ESE classroom. 83% of your students were, passing their third grade state exam. And then I interrupted you. So I'm going to let you go right back into your story.
No worries, no worries. When I actually moved here, I came here as a behavior specialist. I didn't come as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with different behavior analysts because my master's work is in therapy.
Okay.
A lot of my work is in psychology and therapy, and just also having that different perspective. When you approach learning, it's different because I think therapy has a less authoritative approach to learning often.
Mm-hmm.
You're more satisfied with output and not necessarily things being put into a particular format. And while there are assessments that are conducted, Common Core has really shaped how we have to teach students. So in therapy, you're allowed to work on different things. Often it's not as regulated, although you do still have goals and things like that. So my approach to education is just different. I came with that approach. I worked as a behavior specialist at several schools. The schools that I worked at were primarily ESE populations. And unfortunately, a lot of the children that were there had undergone some type of abuse or neglect. The staff that worked there often weren't well trained. There was a high turnover. And I witnessed on several occasions children being abused, children that weren't able to talk or advocate for themselves. And it was just really sad. Right. And I found myself trying to be a champion, but sometimes when you're being that super person, you can be seen as not as desirable. People don't want to deal with you. Oh, this is the person that actually is trying to make sure that we're not hurting children or that we're treating them the way we say we shouldn't. And I get it, because working with children with disabilities can be very frustrating, especially when children that are non-vocal, non-verbal. Often they might bite or hit, and they express themselves in different ways that some don't understand. But we still know what they want and need. If you have the heart and you care about what you're expected to do. So I found myself desiring to just kind of create my own thing. When you are in a place where you find this is not right and this is not right, and you don't want to continue to cause dissension among folks, you just decide, well, hey, maybe this is God's way of putting me in a place, or just kind of nudging me towards the direction of creating something where you can ensure that those things don't happen, or at least if they are, you're able to deal with them in an appropriate manner. Because human beings are human beings, and I do understand that things happen, but sometimes gross negligence and abuse of individuals with disability observed in schools and group homes, in different situations that I've seen through the years. And I again, have a family member, an aunt, who struggled with mental illness and unfortunately was institutionalized. And just the conditions by which, and the amount of money that people get for these organizations and from these for money for taking care of these individuals. And my heart just always said it would be so nice if there is a way that these individuals can actually just be treated with dignity and respect. That's a lot of what kind of started MCS. I was worked as a tutor. I started out mobile, but I was still teaching in the public school at that time. Yeah. When COVID happened, there were just some things that I was really worried about coming back into. My doctor was afraid with me having asthma. I worked in an ESC classroom that had a rotating group. We were a resource K through 5. Each different kid were from different classrooms. And as you know, Florida was the first to go back after COVID. Yeah. So there were little protection for teachers, I felt, and my doctor was concerned. And I had been working with students through e-learning and tutoring and things like that. So while there were many kids that did go back and return back to brick and mortar, there was a growing population of families that said, you know what? I think it's time for something different. Number one, I'm not comfortable with how things are being handled. And, you know, things should be sanitized thoroughly anyway.
Yes.
Not that we're extra sanitizing things for COVID. That's, you know, a little bit, you know, scary because what was going on there before. But then
Right.
also, what people don't like to talk about is the growing fear of school shootings
Yeah.
and intruders and people that just have little respect for what's going on in the school. I mean, granted, you've already got students that you're dealing with emotional behavior disabilities and such when you're in special ed. That's not easy. But having to deal with possibly outside things that are just adding to the plate. There's so much at stake. And you start building up so much anxiety. I mean, for me, every Sunday I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? Like, I know I want to be able to be a champion and help
Yeah.
these kids, but it's taking so much out of me emotionally. My health was starting to suffer. And then with COVID happening, I found a way to do things online. And the family stuck with me. And when I left the public school, because they basically said, hey, we can't accommodate you, you know, you're going to have to come back and do this the way we say, or we can't help you. I said to them, my health has to come first. I
Yeah.
already been to the ER twice this year. If you guys don't understand, I've tried to show you through my test scores. Through COVID, I made sure to make sure my families were getting lessons. We met 3 times a week. I tried to engage everybody, but you know, there are things that have to be done by a certain way. I understand funding and certain things. So that's really when the idea for my part-time thing decided to become a full-time thing.
So
Um,
listen, with that, because that's the brink of your comeback, right? You know, we've listened to how you poured yourself into education. You yourself were such a bright student. You skipped 2 grades. Like I think you may be the first person that I've met that went from kindergarten to second grade.
well, I
Not
did.
just
Not to interrupt. I didn't skip. I just want to clarify. But
okay.
they put in the
They
grade curriculum. Yes,
okay.
it was just advanced curriculum, and it stayed
Listen.
that way. Everybody, the school that I did, everybody was in on that same curriculum,
Mhm.
so we were all considered smart
Just
kids.
smart kids, like a kindergartner that's doing second grade work though,
Yeah,
like that's amazing. And you know that education is in you. That's that thing that God implanted in you. You know, that's your purpose. And so tell I just want you to take us through that mental state that you had when you heard your school say that they could no longer accommodate you and your needs when you were accommodating the needs of kids for years and providing the test scores that this school needed. What did that feel like to you?
it was devastating.
Yeah.
I was upset about how the whole thing was handled. To be honest, I just didn't feel like I had a lot of support. I had to seek out the teachers union to help me in the end. And when they told me that I was going to have to return back to school, they called me up and said, you've got 48 hours to tell your students and families that you will no longer be their teacher. They're going to be joining another teacher for half the day. So they're going to go from a full day education to half the day education. And you must return back to school. Um, I was hoping that they were going to assist me in that process because, of course, the parents had a lot of questions and the children had a lot of questions. And this is the thing about a resource class. See, most teachers work with students for a year and then they pass them on. I had students that had been with me third grade,
Yeah.
fourth grade, and fifth grade, and their parents had had such a horrible experience, and they finally got a teacher that cared about their child, so they stuck there. I had kids who weren't reading, who weren't writing, who weren't, you know, and they finally found someone that was able to work with their student.
Right.
So parents were irate. I knew they were going to have questions, and that was the thing I dreaded the most. I remember the last Zoom I had with them when they told me, I told them, today is my last day, guys. I could barely get the words out. The kids were crying. The parents started crying. My son was in the room. He was like looking at me, and I had tears in my eyes. I had to just shut the computer. I was like, I love you guys. And I just closed it. Like, I could not even say goodbye. My heart was hurting. And so they rallied up and they decided we're going to go talk to the principal, and we're going to go, we're going to do certain things because we should have the right to choose the teacher for our child. We are taxpayers, and you want to be their teacher and they want you. And why is it that we can't find a way to make that happen? There was a group of students, it wasn't like there were just one or two. So they definitely tried their due diligence. But for me, I was devastated. I would say it took me a good 2 weeks to kind of just get myself where I wasn't teary, because I put forth a lot. I and my son also was at school there with me. And so it was closing the door in a sense on both of us. And I knew that there were friends of his that he wasn't going to be able to say goodbye to. And I asked them, can I go get my stuff? They were watching me like I was getting ready to take something. I mean, they're like, you got 30 minutes to get my things. And so all I could do was just gather as many things of mine that were really important and take those things out. The other teachers, they were so sad. They hurried up and got away. Like the teachers that were working with me, I could tell they couldn't even handle me leaving, because I was the energy of the team. I was the one that had the spunky ideas. We were collaborating with other teachers. We were doing cool things. For the first time, ESC at the school was being invited to assemblies, was being allowed to participate in things, were being just treated like normal kids. People said, oh, those kids walk down the hallway. They used to just run around like they were in a zoo. And so I can't believe they hold doors and they say hello. And it can be challenging, because when you're their teacher, people treat you like that. They treat you outcasted. They don't want to share. Other teachers don't want to share their lesson plans with you. They don't want to collaborate with you. They're always like, oh, I feel sorry for you. You have such a hard day. And I'm like, you just don't understand. I'm walking in my ministry. Like, I don't feel sad, because I know what I'm doing is the right thing, but you might not understand that, and that's okay.
And
So
I'm gonna tell you that you have me there too. Because I experienced that, and I experienced it because I used to be that teacher that they would try to stack my class, because I I just believe that all children can learn. So yeah, if they're ESOL, yeah, put them in my classroom. Yeah, if they're ESE, put them in my classroom, because they're a part of Miss Bennett's class. Like they're my babies. When they get with me, and I hear you so loudly and so clearly, and it was so heartbreaking, leaving the classroom and even seeing it from an administrative side, because it was an administrator that had to make that decision for you, and I have had to go through as an administrator, and it was, although it wasn't my decision, I had to carry that. I had to carry that order out. I've had to be the one to go to a classroom to get a teacher's keys. And I've had to stay there after that aftermath when the kids are distraught and all of that. So the picture that you have painted, I have been there. I have absolutely been there. And actually it's ironic that we're having this conversation, because of, that very same teacher, I did a live on Facebook, and she joined, and she just thanked me for just always supporting her, and that meant so much to me. But it opened up a wound again. You know what I mean? So I I get exactly what you are saying, and your heart speaks through, and it shines through. But God, right?
yes.
But God, right? And it's like, you give of your time, you give your service, the countless hours that you spent, that this is a heart job. This is not, a job that is heartless. We put our hearts, our minds, our souls, our families, through it. And so, yeah, like I it is emotional, and it's gut wrenching, and some things you just don't understand. And but oh my, that champion side of you were able to create your own. You are able to create your own. So you wiped your tears and you put on your armor again. And what did you do? How did you climb yourself out of that valley?
Well, um, prayer is just definitely ahead of everything. Um, because I had already had some other red flags in education. I looked at how long it was going to take me to get to $50,000, and I said, "That's not okay. We will not get our steps
Listen,
up here. That's
you
not okay."
listen
You
now. What you now
know,
you are speaking a word right here. Because when I say I used to be filling those sheets, like, wait a minute now, it's gonna take me how long? 17 years, 18 years? Like, what is this?
yes,
What in the world is this?
no man.
So yeah,
So and I always worked and tutored on the side or worked with different kids with disabilities. So there was a woman that I heard that had just gathered a group of students that were all had disabilities, and they decided to hire her privately. They used the scholarship funds, and she, as a provider of the scholarship, was able to build the scholarship, so the families didn't really have to come out of pocket very much. I heard about it and I said, let me just call and just see. And so when I called her, she was like, "Oh, it's really simple. You just do this, you pick your curriculum, blah, 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 blah. Like homeschooling is really easy." However, there are some rules as a provider of the scholarship. And then me, I'm just the type of person that I want to make sure that my kids are going to be prepared if they want to go back to school or if they want to go to a different avenue. So, um, between that idea, I also had a few parents that were asking me, "So, what are you going to do now? So, what are you going to do now?
yeah,
Can you tutor my kid? Can you still spend time with them because you've been a part of their life for 3 years? COVID has happened. They've been, through a lot. We had lost a teacher at the school that was very close to them. And then now me being removed from the classroom. For some of them, they considered a teacher like almost like
yeah.
family. So, of course, I started telling them about the scholarship that they could get. There's one for reading, and it allows students to come for $500. They get a scholarship once per year from kindergarten through fifth grade, and that allowed some families to be able to use that money for services. So that's kind of how things started, and I started getting more and more tutoring clients, and then I had requests for homeschool. Started with just one kid. Before long, I had four, and they were all parents who didn't want to send their kid back to school, still wanted them to have a socialization piece, wanted them to have a routine, want them to have the ability to be versatile and go where they need to, but being able to have options, right?
Yeah.
Because there's different types of homeschool. There's some families that just the mom and dad teach the lessons, and that's like your traditional homeschool. And that's what a lot of people think about. These families say, "You know what, Miss Palmer, you did amazing with my child. Let me see what we can do about funding. Let's see if we can get together and hire you privately."
Wow, wow.
So in Florida, the extra benefit is being able to have a scholarship that works for students with
Right.
disability. And if you withdraw your child from public school, you can qualify for this scholarship. Essentially, they just shift the funds. You can't be in both funding avenues. You've got to choose public or private or homeschool. But you can choose your avenue. And if you have disability and you choose the homeschool option, then you can privately hire a teacher. You can use the funds for therapy, for materials and supplies, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what started as just part-time working and tutoring with different students, before long, more families wanted more. And now the pot is booming. The pot is booming. Tutoring's like just kind of dwindling along. I mean, it does well, but the
Yeah.
pot is where it's at.
Yes.
People hot learning for their kids. They want that small style, that personal close attention. They want that differentiated learning. It's intense. It's very concrete. We start at 9:30. We finish at 1:30. So 4 hours, 2 hours of reading, 45 minutes of math, 30 minutes of science, a little bit of social time, and they're out of there. No damn
Okay.
time to get in trouble. No time for foolishness. If you don't know your work, I'm right there to make sure I can intervene and help you right away.
Yes.
You can't be goofing off because I can see all of
Yes.
y'all. And if there's too much craziness or too much behavior, then I won't allow them to be part of the group. The group
Hmm.
is there has to be good behavior in the pod. And what I mean by that is I know kids are going to be kids, but no major elopements, no major physical aggressions or verbal aggressions or things that are going to cause danger or disruption in the group.
Yes.
If we do have students that have been kicked out of Polk County schools. I do serve some students that are very challenging. I've got students that are cutters. I've got students that elope from the building. I got students who are schizophrenic and have self-ideations and, different things. But those students are staying on a more one-on-one or two-on-one setting so that I can provide a greater level of support for them.
Hmm.
So I'm able to work with all different students, but it's a matter of if you're able to work in a group or if you're able to work in a very small group or if you need something individual. And then, yeah, I mean, we work with all different ages too as well.
That's
All the way
what I
through.
was going to ask you. So what is your age range?
My youngest student is kindergarten age, and then I have students all the way through adulthood.
Oh, wow.
There are some students that just come for writing. Like I do professional writing. So if you're in college and you're an ESC student and you want some help with writing an essay or a literature class, we can help with that. We do not do college math. Absolutely not. Um, not
Yeah.
do algebra past geometry. I mean, I just don't want, the whole idea of, at least not right now.
Yes.
Are able to pass a GED or a PERT exam with algebra and geometry. So that's pretty much where we stop. And in most of our ESC students, if you could get them through algebra and geometry, woohoo! It's
Yes.
a challenge.
So listen, I want to hear some success stories, but starting with what you're doing, like you just opened up a new facility, right? So
Yeah.
with the mobile classroom solutions, Inc. I've seen pictures of the new space, and I know you were hard at work making sure that everything was tended to and done. So tell us about this new space.
Well, we've moved a couple times.
Okay.
Initially, I started mobile.
Yes.
We started having trouble with locations because at mobility, a lot of times it was either at someone's home or it was at the library where we would meet. And as COVID limited some of our locations, and as I didn't want to seem rude, like coming to people's houses and spraying everything and wiping,
Yes.
there were a few people that weren't offended by it. They're like, "Oh, you're really a germaphobe, Miss Palmer." No, I'm just being sure. Nothing wrong with just double checking.
Yes.
I found myself more comfortable with asking people to come to my space. That way I could make sure that masks were worn, that people were being clean and just trying to monitor some of that. We moved to a location on South Florida last year. This was an office suite of about 350 square feet,
Okay.
and it was located within a conglomerate of office buildings, all of different small businesses and startup businesses. So it was a great kind of an office hub, a great
Yes.
place for us to start. However, we outgrew that space very quickly. Five bodies in that room, definitely just a lot. So before long, I started thinking about another space. It was challenging though because commercial space is very expensive, and the location where we are in South Lakeland is a pretty high area of real estate, high value. So a lot of the places that I was looking for, they were way beyond my price budget. But I had an amazing realtor. She showed me a place the upstairs unit. There's 23 stairs up there. But if you know anything about commercial space, they tend to knock off a little bit of the rent price if you're on an upstairs unit. So
Okay.
I have no problem with that. I mean, I work out. I think it's great exercise to go up the stairs. Most of the kids need a little exercise anyway. So and we don't have anyone that's wheelchair bound. If that were the case, then I would definitely have to make some amendments to try to meet them in their preferred location. But we moved to a space that's now almost 1,100 square feet.
That is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So we've
So
got,
from 300 and something to 1,100 square feet. Yes.
yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much.
When you think about your successes, like what are those feel good moments that you go back to? Like if it's a hard day or the things that you are like, wow, that was God. Like literally, like what are some of those success stories with your students that you fall back on in order to continue?
Well, one thing is they come back. I mean, some of the ones that I had in public school, they are with me, and this is their third year in the pod.
Yeah.
So I joke and tell them, I'm going to find you another teacher, but we are going on our fifth year in school or sixth year in school together. It's
Yeah.
wonderful being able to see them grow and to be able to show them that they could do things that they didn't think they could do. Some of them have come from doing addition and subtraction to algebraic
Oh
expressions and
wow.
learning about exponents. The other thing I think is just my renewed joy for education is definitely something that just kind of has helped me to have a positive attitude. I think that's a big success because I'm able to teach more freely now. I can teach things that are relevant to their lives. Where I'm working with kids with disabilities, you really need to capitalize on the things that you teach them.
Yeah.
They're going
Yeah.
to learn everything and they're not going to remember everything. I'm not trying to limit them because often they have their gifts and talents and abilities that are way above and beyond what I can do.
Yes.
But sometimes that one size fits all formula just doesn't have to work. I mean, just doesn't work for everybody. I have, students that were kicked out of schools, that were deemed a bad kid, and now, they are able to self-regulate. Probably my most successful student now just got his commercial pilot license.
That's what
And
someone just stated. I'm like, oh, I gotta hear the story. I gotta hear it.
yeah, he's amazing. Whenever I tell him to show up, he's like, oh, well, he'll show up. But he has stayed in touch with me since he was 11 years old. And I have cheered him on when he thought he couldn't do it, when he thought that he was going to fail. When he failed things, I've just been there to be a champion. And sometimes you just say things and you think you're annoying to kids and they just don't hear you. But there was once he pulled out this crumpled piece of paper out of the bottom of his backpack where I'd written on there, you're amazing, you can do anything. So he was holding on to this index card. And you don't think that you never know what seed you're planting, what's gonna happen. But I always joke and tell them, when you become famous, don't forget about me
Um,
because I am still chasing my dreams while you are achieving your dreams. So he comes by, he talks to the other kids about his challenges and what he went through in order to get where he is. And it's nice to be able to see some of them have gone in the community, have gone to other schools. They're able to come back for different programs. I started a social skills group. So we've got some students that come for business. They learn about resume writing. They all have disabilities, but they're adults now. They were my students way back when, and they come, they hang out. We get to talk about that stuff, and then they get to go on their way. But they love coming to see me. I love being able to still be a part of their life. I love being able to grow with them. So I think those are just some of the successes of me. And probably the one other thing is the relief on the family's faces. I will say there's so many moms that come stressed out. I don't know what I'm going to do about my child. I don't know. One day I'm not going to be here.
mhm.
Can you teach this? Can you teach them that? Will they ever talk? Will they ever communicate? I mean, I definitely have some students that came to me with very few words, and now they're hi, all over the place, and happy and excited about school. I mean, we go from headbutting and biting to lollipops and skips. That's it might take some time, but that's a lot of what happens. And I stick by them. I let them know that I'm there for them. I don't baby them. I don't expect less of them. I make sure they know how amazing they are. And I let the parents know that too. You know, a lot of times the parents need encouragement as well. The family knows that you have their back. They are willing to allow you in, and I can be that therapeutic educator that I
I
am.
love
I can provide
it.
therapeutic educational response. So
I love it. It's something that you said that just is still pervasive in my brain. I like it when you told the student, I'm still chasing my dream while you are achieving your dream. Like you are living your dream and I'm still chasing my dream. What's your dream? Like what's your ultimate dream? What do you want to do?
well, Um, I would like to be able to open a center that allows, it's like a one stop hub for people with disabilities. I want them to be able to have a safe place where they can come and get the resources that they need. I've
Mhm.
seen people with disabilities struggle because they either can't find good resources or the things move around, the resources and the
Mhm.
ability. And just to have one place that would provide different things for them. Not necessarily a place where they can come overnight, but like a day center, but in a
Mhm.
day center. Um, while I love teaching so much and I love teaching children, the reality is that most of my students are cute and cuddly. When they become adults, the resources go away. They're more fearful. People aren't as welcoming. And there's a growing population here in Polk County of adults with disabilities that are in need of good services and that are in need of people that care for them and are going to advocate for them. So they're going to spend way more years in adulthood than they will as children.
Mhm. I think that would be I think that would be amazing, an amazing thing to do. And I was I don't know the time of year. Like I think my timetable is a little off, but there's a group out of Orlando that form from mothers who have students or children with disabilities. And I'm listening to you with this, but they forged a group together and they help one another with resources. And they have an annual brunch every single year. And for the past couple of years, my sister has invited me to go with her. And I'm just listening to these success stories. And I mean, we get all dapper. I mean, sometimes the theme is we're in Paris. Sometimes the theme, I think we were just, it was a European, somewhere in Italy, but I don't know if it was the French Riviera. I don't know, but they have different themes to um, the Tea Party where they raise funds to support families who have kids with disabilities. But they take them on camps. They teach them how to transition into adulthood. And so I'm going to make sure that I invite you to that tea party this year. Like I think you would make so many great connections if you already don't know of them. Because when I send you the information, you probably are going to know of them. And I am so apologetic for even bringing it up without not being able to um, shout them out particularly. But I'll put it in the comments or
Yeah.
in the post that I post with this episode. But you are doing, I can say it, but I want to know if you feel it. Do you feel like you are living in your purpose? Like this is what God has called you to do. You feel it every day. How's your Sunday? Because I feel like that anxiety has gone away with you coming in from a Monday. Like, do you feel like you're doing and living and serving in your purpose?
I, I definitely do. I feel that with what I'm doing now, I'm able to do it more effectively and more holistically. I think the impressions and the help that I'm able to give the family have more long term effects. And the biggest thing now is just being able to find people because it's a very specialized field. So being able to find the right amazing staff that are also going to desire something different, because again, it's a different approach to education. It's not your typical just classroom setting. And in that, it does allow you freedom, but it is a different approach, and some people are very much afraid of that. Um, I think that though educators, we are um, guided by our training, and often for some reason there's been such a mistrust in education lately, and so I do think that the big thing is just when you have a teacher that really cares and loves what she's doing, the parents are able to feel that, the kids are able to feel that there's this whole just rejuvenated spirit for learning. So I think that being able to do so much more,
Yeah.
to not feel so binded by all the different pieces that go into working in a organization, a large organization, definitely have me feeling like I'm walking a lot closer to my purpose. And I feel like I have the opportunity to also help inspire others, because I'm always talking to families about the power of literacy. That's another thing that's big, especially for families of color. There are a lot of families who do so much. And even me as a homeschool teacher, there's a limit to what I can do. We have to
Yes.
make sure that we are um, teaching our own children the things that we want them to learn. There's been so many changes in education, and it's easy to point the finger.
It is.
Um,
Yeah.
Not as easy to pick up the book and decide I myself have to become a reader so that I can inspire my child to read. This is something we need to do as a family. We need to set aside time and make this happen.
Yeah.
And so I feel very strongly about that. I'm often encouraging families with the homeschool component. Friday, we don't have school.
Okay.
Families have to spend Friday with their children. You are
I
working with your child.
absolutely, oh, I love that so much because you were talking, this was probably 30 minutes ago, but 30 minutes ago into this interview, we were talking about research and we were talking about data. And I was going to say, well, there are several sectors in this country that have moved to a 4-day, school week. And so to hear you come back and you come back and you circled my thought that I didn't say, I love that. So Friday is like your mandated family day of things that you can do with one another.
Mm-hmm. We have some virtual electives on Friday, but they're very short and brief. They're online. So they right now they're doing music composition or learning how to write rhythm and music. And that changes every 8 weeks. But generally speaking, besides that, yes, the rest of the day is theirs. It allows them to go to their appointments, therapy, to do other homeschool groups and classes, because their parents have to have time to coordinate that.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it, because they know with their parents being involved, they also improve their academic performance. You
Yeah.
know, people try to differentiate that learning that only occurs at school, but parents are the first teachers. You
We
teach your
are.
children the important fundamental things. I mean, before reading and math and all those things are important, they have to learn how to be decent human beings. They have to learn respect. They have to learn, just being able to get along in life. That's really what's most
Yeah.
important. And some families forget that. And so I empower the families to take back that ability in knowing their power, and choosing what type of things they want their child to learn, not depending on a teacher, but them doing it themselves or seeking out resources that will provide them with that.
I love it. I love it. There was a comment. I think it was I am Erica Simone. She said, hands down, you are the best special educator teacher or a special ed teacher in Polk County. So that's a high honor.
Thank
That's a very high honor. So you definitely have your support hub. You definitely have people who will advocate about Miss Palmer. I can guarantee you that they don't play about Miss Palmer. And I can guarantee you that you don't play about their kids. Like you love them beyond just childhood. And I knew there was a reason why I really wanted to speak with you because I love connecting with passionate educators anyway, but the fact that you leveled up and you bossed up and you made your own avenue, I was more so um, attracted to that light of
thank
you
you.
because you did it. You did exactly what you wanted to do, and you've made it your own. It's growing. And I know that there are great things headed your way. I know that you're going to get exactly what you want. And I want to know how we can, if someone wanted to support you in your efforts, how can they do that? Like, how can they keep in contact with you? How can we support your school?
Well, there's several ways. I would say first, we just opened our learning center. We are going to have a grand opening in December. Right now, we're working on gathering more supplies and materials for the center. We just need chairs and tables. We just need, like, furniture to make sure that the kids have things that are a little more permanent. Some of the things we have are temporary, or they're okay, but I want to make sure that we have things that are safe and well for them. Besides that, we are definitely open to volunteers, or we're looking for tutors right now, teachers that might want to work a little bit part-time in the evening. Definitely, if you are interested in it, even if you're just interested in learning more, supporting, if you know someone that might be interested in homeschooling, or maybe their child hates reading and writing and they need tutoring support. Maybe you're just stuck working with your kid on a particular concept or skill and you just need some fresh ideas. The best way to reach me would be going onto my website, checking out some of the things that we have there. Once you know exactly what it is that you want to inquire about, send me a message. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. Um, Also, people get my phone number and sometimes they send me a text message. You can contact me just about any way that you find to be convenient. So I'm best and easiest available on the weekends if you're wanting a more immediate response. During the week, our center is open from 9:30 to 7, but if I'm with a student, I won't be answering my phone during that time. I don't have a secretary at the moment or an assistant, so I pretty much handle most of the things myself. We do have one teacher that works with me virtually, but right now I have been manning the ship. And then occasionally, Miss Erica will come in and help out, and we do have some others that support from afar with other things. So, yeah, I would say I would love if people want to, monetarily. We do have a wish list. There's some items on there that are as cheap as $10, and that go up in varying different prices. A lot of our kids are on the autism spectrum syndrome, so we're working on building a sensory area. We want to have a nice um, place for them to be able to retreat when they get overstimulated, as well as just having a few more supplies for our high schoolers as our students are getting older. The high school supplies are a little bit more expensive. So those are some of the things that I'm trying to put in place just to enhance, you know, for the students. Um, so yeah.
So what I will do, because, and then those of you, I don't know why Instagram does it. Instagram has not been my friend as of the past 2 weeks. I don't know what it has been about the past 2 weeks, but when you post this, when I post this episode, the comments will go away. And so what I want you guys to do, and I will do this um in the description of this episode, I will put your website, which is www.mobileclassroomsolutions.com. So I will make sure that I promote that heavily. I will make sure that in the description I list that you do have wish lists on your website and the needs that you just described on this podcast, because I want to help you so badly, because I know that this is, a passion of yours. I know that you are doing this from your heart, and I want to be a catalyst to help you. And so I'm just vowing that on my podcast, I will make sure that I do that continuously, free of charge, because I believe in what you're doing, and you are giving so much hope to these families, and not only just giving them hope, you're giving them results. And that's worthy of being supported. So you have a champion in me. You wanted to be a champion for others, and you continue to do that. And I just vow to be a champion for you. So anyone that I come across that I know that could help you, when I post it on my socials, when this goes on YouTube, anyone that I talk to, Mobile Classroom Solutions will be on my tongue. So I'm praying for you, going to pray for you, and prayer groups will ask that prayers are lifted your way, because I want you to be successful, sis. And it's not just because you are my soror, it's because you are passionate about helping kids, and that's the most noble profession. And we do go unnoticed sometimes, and those resources just come like, thank you, Jesus, because I don't know where it came from, but thank you, God. And so it shouldn't be that way. Like this should be a profession where there are a plethora of resources like at your doorstep waiting for you. We know what you're trying to do. We know that this is hard, and then you're doing it by yourself for the most part, but you definitely are going to be in my prayers, and you are doing such a phenomenal job. You are amazing. You
Thank
hear me, Jennifer?
you.
You
Thank
are amazing, and you're doing amazing work, and God is going to bless you for that. He's going to continue to bless you for that. And so I thank you so much for entrusting me with your story, and entrusting me with even, being able to put you out there and talk about your school. So it is an honor for me. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very much appreciated. And again, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. It's an honor. I appreciate you allowing me to tell my story. I appreciate everyone who joined us tonight. There's some amazing people out there. I see my baby sister and my other sister and Erica. There's quite a few. I saw some of my friends from high school,
That's amazing.
sorors. I'm just so grateful to take their precious time this evening because time is everything.
It
It
is.
really
It
is.
really is. And so I got you, Jennifer. So listen, we're going to make sure that episode 98 of the Jazzy Conversations with Jazz reaches across channels. So this episode will be uploaded on YouTube. I am also going to upload it again here on Instagram. It will repost on Instagram, and it will also be on Facebook. So I'm going to promote, and then promote some more this episode because you are doing amazing work. And what I want you to do is I want you to log on to their website, www.mobileclassroomsolutions.com. And I want you to make sure, did I say that right? I want to make sure that I got it right. I'm trying to scroll back up.
Actually, there's no www at the front. I don't
Okay.
know why, but it's
Okay.
classroomsolutions.com. And I have www on stuff because that's what people
Because that's what you think
usually
about
ask.
when you think about the URL. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yep.
just when you go to your browser to get to her website, it is mobileclassroomsolutions.com. And I want you to make sure that you go and you check out what her wish lists are. I want you to make sure you understand how to connect with her, ask her how to help. If you want to be a tutor, a part-time tutor, go ahead and do that. If you want resources for your children, make sure you connect with her. All right. Make sure we support her. So make sure that you connect with her, email her. You can call her if you find her number on the website. You can also message her, inbox her, follow Mobile Solutions, Mobile Classroom Solutions Inc. on Instagram. I heard somebody say we have an IG page. Yes, you have an IG page. So make sure that you are following it. Make sure that you connect on Facebook as well. And I will definitely see you back here for episode 99 on next Monday, which will be October 9th. And it's going to be the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will air here on IG Live, and it will also air on YouTube. So make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you hit that notifications bell. Follow me on all of your favorite podcast platforms. And I want to see your face in the place at my 2-year podcast anniversary live show happening on November 11th at the Well, Lakeland. 114 East Parker Street, Lakeland, Florida. We are going to have an amazing time. You will get to experience this, but times 100, because you will be in a live studio audience. Networking will take place from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the VIP Mixer, and the show is at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Vendors, food trucks, mixing, and great music, great food, a great conversation, and I want to see you there. So Jennifer, my soror, thank you so much for being my special guest tonight for episode 98, and I shall see you very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you again. Have a wonderful night. Thank you, everyone.
You too. Have a great night. Good night, everybody.